Hey guys, what is up? It's Jess. I'm not at Roots and Refuge Farm. I'm at Murray McMurray Hatchery.
We are here.
In Iowa.
Yep, middle of Iowa.
Yeah. You're about all there is to see here in the middle of Iowa.
There's not a lot, yeah.
The soil here is fantastic though, I've noticed.
Even Joe Salatin will say that's the best growing in the world,
yeah.
like is Iowa, so especially here.
I freaked out a little bit actually. I genuinely thought that the fields were burnt at first. I was seeing it, and then I finally saw one that was freshly turned, and I was like, hold on, that's the soil, it's black.
It's just black, yeah.
Crazy.
Just dirt.
So I am visiting the hatchery, have had a wonderful time. You guys are gonna be seeing that. I don't know when this video will go up, you may have already seen that. But just briefly, if you are on this video for the first bit of this content, Murray McMurray Hatchery is a family-owned hatchery.
Yep.
I actually thought it was a lot bigger of an operation because I've been getting the catalog for so long. It's been out for 103 years, I think this company has been running. And then we actually met Tom, who is the co-owner, with his father-in-law and wife.
Yeah, my wife and I, and then my Bud, my father-in-law. So that's it.
Yeah, and it's genuinely
like people, but
I mean, just a family-owned business.
Yep.
Really passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
So as I've been here the last couple of days visiting, I noticed something, that Tom has a chicken database stored in his brain, and as we would go and see all the different breeds of chicks, he would just be popping off these chicken facts, and I was like, dude, we gotta get you on a video, because I get asked all these questions all the time that I don't have the answers to, but I found the answers for you guys.
They're in there, I'll just forget
They're in there, we'll just rummage through and see what we can find. So I've actually compiled a list of questions to ask Tom that you guys have asked me really consistently. Just as I've shared as a chicken keeper over the last several years, and you know, I just absolutely love chickens, but people ask me questions, well, what's the best chicken for XYZ? I thought that this would be a great video for us to help you guys know maybe what breeds to look at for your backyard flock.
Yeah.
So I guess let's just dive into those questions. Okay, the first one is, what are the best breeds for the new chicken keepers? Probably I get asked this more than any other.
And that's what people call, like, well, I don't, you know, people are afraid to get into chickens. They're like, oh, I just don't, I've been reading books, and it's like, it's really pretty easy. And there are some great breeds to start with. The heavier breeds, heavier chicken breeds are the most forgiving chickens. They're most tolerant of all the weather types, rain, all that stuff. Orpingtons are pretty much the top of that list. We kind of call them the golden retrievers of chickens.
Nice.
You know, they're just kind of all around, all purpose. You know, really friendly. Like
they come in multiple colors.
Yeah.
So if you want like a mix, you can
white, you know, or purple, lavender, buff. Obviously, buff is the standard. That's the Orpington.
Yeah.
The buff colored. Plymouth Rocks are a really good breed. Great layers and the same in cold weather and warm weather. Like
you can just get like an assortment of heavy breeds. You have like a heavy layer assortment or something like that.
And typically brown egg layers are heavier breeds. So if you're, I mean, that's a pretty easy one. But there are like a heavy layer assortments. There's feather-footed assortments, which are bigger breeds. Yeah. But yeah, brown egg layers are typically bigger than the white egg layer. And
you know, like, just so we should add, like, as we go through this, we've got the catalogs here. If you don't have one of these yet, this is a free catalog. You can use this for ordering. It's a really cool reference. They've put a lot of information in this. Like, each breed has a little section that talks about like its skin color, its comb type, egg production, and these little icons that help you know if they're good for like family or keeping in cold temperature or whatever. So this is a really good reference. I should warn you that getting this catalog and looking through it might result in a large chicken order. You should know that going into the beginning.
So we put all of the pictures in.
This picture right here, this led to my chicken order growing. Jeremiah and I did a video actually of us going through the catalog and ordering what was going to be like 25 chickens, and
It's hard to pick one.
It was more.
You know? They're like potato chips. Like.
Chicken mac, little fluffy potato chips.
Yeah.
This is a really cool resource, and like with that heavy layer thing, like this'll tell you like what the mature weight is and kind of give you an idea.
Yep. And like I said, there's little icons for you know everything we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
They're there. They're right on every breed, you know, along with the pictures and stuff. So
yeah. So definitely get one of these.
Reference.
I'll put the link down below to like anything we referenced today
and it's
in
free.
the show notes.
Like,
Yeah, it's free.
It doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, except for when you order lots of chickens. The chicken math is a real thing. Okay, so the next question. And this one is one that you can answer a little better, being from Iowa. People ask me this question. I'm like, I don't know. I've lived in Arkansas forever. What is the best breeds, or are the best breeds for cold climates?
Yeah, so cold, like you said, people in Arkansas.
Cold, like actual cold, not like my version of cold. Like it's like
40.
It's like 40 degrees. I'm like, oh, I need a jacket. No, like actual like. Yeah. Very cold. The ground is frozen for 2 feet. Like actual cold places. 40
of my kids are still barefoot.
Yeah.
So some cold weather breeds are gonna be, you know, again, our heavier breeds. Wyandots. So Wyandots are really terrific breeds. They're a heavy rounder breed. They're not particularly tall. They have a peak comb. So,
yeah, the comb is really an important thing.
Yeah, Brahmas. Brahmas are a heavy breed. They have feathered feet. Chickens, when they roost, and when it's really cold, they're able to actually, like ducks and geese are, you know, pull the blood out of their legs. You know, where
That's so bizarre.
And then they roost over their legs, so they don't get frostbite on their legs typically.
Yeah, chickens are very hardy. For people who think like, oh, it's too cold where I live, like probably not.
There's, we send chicks every week to Alaska, and it's one of our best shipping states because there's a direct flight from Minneapolis to Alaska.
That's so cool.
So northern Alaska, you can put chickens, you can put your Brahmas, you can put your Cochins, you can any number of breeds. If you're only having hens, even single comb breeds like your Black Australorps, your Plymouth Rocks, your Rhode Island Reds are going to do pretty good because they don't have a very big comb. The roosters are where you're going to have more problem.
Right.
They have a big single comb sticks up, you know. Then that's where they'll get frostbite. I mean, if it's cold enough, they'll lose the whole comb. And
wow, and then they'll look sad.
Then they won't be able to sweat.
So we're heavy breeds. Feathered feet are good, and small combs are good. Okay, on the opposite side of that, for really hot climates.
Hot climates are gonna be your lighter breeds. There's Mediterranean breeds, the Minorcas, Andalusians. Andalusians, super pretty, beautiful birds.
They're beautiful, yeah.
They're gonna tend to be white egg layers. There's a number of that lay both.
Rhode
Island Reds are going to be really another good option. Again, Plymouth Rocks do fine everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for us, obviously Murray McMurray is shipping to the United States. Yeah. And like when you have those American breeds, like Delawares, New Hampshire,
Rhode
Island Reds, New Hampshire Reds, and Plymouth Rocks, all of those typical American breeds. They do well here.
They do well because, you know, that's it's a big
where they're developed. Yeah.
You know, so it's cold in the winter, but it's hot in the summer. And that they do fine. And anytime you can put any breed anywhere, it's just how much work do you want to go into? Keeping it warm in the winter, keeping it cool in the summer. So
and I mean, with that said, like I keep Cochins and Brahmas in Arkansas. We have summer days that are over 100 degrees. But you just have to be mindful about how you're keeping them. Like, they have to have shade. They have to have, like, we sometimes will put fans out in the coop when it's really, really hot.
Yeah, they need ventilation, so they need to have air moving.
Yeah.
Again, the larger the comb, the more heat that they can dissipate. That's how they... but also, they breathe through their mouth and they put off the humidity. So humidity for chickens is...
Bad news.
Not ideal. They do get respiratory infections and stuff like that. They get colds just like people do.
So it's really important to keep it ventilated.
So keep it ventilated. Yep.
And they sweat through their combs. I learned.
So
I'm like, the database. I'm telling you, like I'm learning stuff here. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Another thing is keeping water for them.
Yeah. Obviously, fresh water, clean water. Chickens don't like warm water, so keeping.
They'll literally like dehydrate themselves.
They will, because if it's 100 out, your galvanized water that's 100 degrees too. And they don't want to drink it. They won't drink it. So if you have to, keep water running. Even in a pan, in a dish, something. Cool. But Yeah, chickens dehydrate really, really quickly.
Now, let's talk rare breeds. I know you really are about that. So what are the best chickens for a person who is just really interested in like conservation or like having something really unusual?
That's our strongest.
Yeah.
That's what put us above the rest. You know, that's one thing we work really closely with the Livestock Conservancy. We work with individual breeders. Like we want to keep the rare breeds alive.
Yeah.
And that's getting harder to do. There are less and less, you know, individual breeders.
Right.
So that's falling to us to keep. We've maintained 35 breeds lines from Murray McMurray in 1917. So 103 years that we've maintained like his original 35 lines.
That is crazy.
So, and we've added more every year. Like our Americanas are from the 70s, like the late 70s. So, I mean,
that is really, really cool.
You know, so, you know, every time we've added, like it's been generations of things, multiple generations, like that we've just preserving these breeds. We don't change anything.
That is really, really cool.
So,
well, let's talk about it.
Yeah,
let's pick some chickens of like really cool rare breeds for people who want to get something really unusual.
Yeah, if you're really interested in conserving a breed, there are some pretty rare breeds. You can check out the Livestock Conservancy, and they have a listing of a ranking. You know, they rank them by critical. You know,
and you guys
preservation status.
They've actually put that in here, like under each thing. It tells like what their ALBC priority is, like if they're recovering or critical, threatened, whatever. So if you're wanting to like really work on maintaining a breed and helping keep that alive, you can actually do that.
Yep. So that's part of that. They're in this graph too of what they have. One we worked on and we're really proud of is the crevecoeurs, the French breed. That it was. I mean, we weren't able to hardly keep them alive. Like we were down to about 6 hens, like total, and so we worked with the Livestock Conservancy with Jeanette Behringer, who had an individual line. We worked with another hatchery.
And like everybody was having problems.
And so we all had the same problem. We weren't able to even produce enough to produce to give to anybody.
Right.
Like we were just keeping everything we had to just keep these going. We were able to combine our lines. So currently in the United States, there's one bloodline.
Wow.
So we've all shared that, but it's done a really tremendous job of bringing this breed back.
Yeah.
So we have really good success now. We have good hatchability. We have good livability and vitality in the chicks. The vitality in chicks is extremely important.
Right.
So really proud of being able to do that. Currently working with red caps. That's another breed that I think I have 5.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Yeah, and so that's it. Like there might be 15 in the United States.
Wow. So you guys are actually, is it the red caps that led to the trip to England?
Not directly, but
that's going to be
part
addressed.
of that. Yeah. So
there's actually a trip coming to England.
We're going to England, and part of that is for red caps. I'm hoping to get some in. I've been in talks with the Derbyshire Red Cap Society in order to get some hatching eggs for this year. On this England trip, we're going to the Great Britain Poultry Show.
Like you can go to this. Like if you can register, I think there are still spaces available.
Yeah. It's pretty limited, but it's going to be a great trip. We're going to England. We're going to go to a poultry show. We're going to go to visit the Derbyshire Red Cap Club. We're going to small holdings.
It's like the ultimate chicken person trip,
and
as well as just a cool vacation.
And then we're gonna do the touristy stuff as well. So there's something chicken related every day, and there's almost a touristy thing every day. So you can choose. You know, if you get chickened out, then.
Is that a thing? Is that possible to happen? No.
If you get tired of hearing, you know. I'll be going. We've got a couple of poultry judges that are going to go who judge. There are differences between English poultry and American poultry.
That is so cool. That is breed commitment. So red caps. As far as like, I love like the Houdans, and I know they're threatened. They're not like super rare. But
they'll give you a ranking of how many. And I think it's less than 500 breeders in the United States. Like.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's not very many.
Yeah. No, it's not.
The salmon faverolles, that's another good one. Those are really, really pretty birds.
Yeah, those are
really
beautiful.
nice birds. Like
Yeah.
a few backyard flock of those is pretty neat.
Yeah, they're really friendly
So,
and stuff.
you know, a whole flock of something is pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty, it still gets me. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the dark Cornish, like you walk by the dark Cornish, they're just so,
Striking.
yeah, it's just
Really
like, oh, I gotta look at that.
One more, and this question, of course, comes up a lot on our channel, being homesteaders. What are the best chicken breeds for someone who's interested in sustainability? So, like, typically people are looking for good layers.
Yep.
They're looking for
Yes.
broodiness, you know, because basically if you're really into sustainability, you want
you'll
your
raise your
lines
own,
to keep
so.
raising their own, and so you stay in chickens. And then I guess foraging ability. I've actually never felt like I had a chicken that was just like useless at foraging. They've all done their own kind of thing. But
There's some truth to this. The better mothering that you have, the better they're gonna take on foraging. That's a generational trait. They learn from their mother about foraging.
That's really-
and so the longer you're keeping a line and the longer you're allowing them to do, the better they get at it. The faster they pick that up, you know.
that's cool. That's been interesting. to
And
know.
so yeah, you know, that is important.
So like broodiness probably goes in line with foraging, because while you have moms that are raising
Yeah,
chicks, you're gonna end up with that trait
Yeah.
passing down.
Like the quicker they can learn something and then they pick it up. Had long talks with Daniel Salatin about this. You know, it's like things they just get better. Like
Yeah.
they just get better at this. So that's the way it goes. You're looking for dual purpose breeds. They're going to be typically your larger birds. Australorps are going to be really at the top of that list. They're super good mothers. You know, they're broody, but they also lay a lot of eggs, and they lay
Yeah.
eggs no matter what the season. Orpingtons are still going to be at there. Delawares are a pretty good one. They tend to go broody, and they're a really nice size. Those roosters. Cochins are another really broody one. The trade-off to broody is that they stop
don't lay as
laying.
much,
They
yeah.
don't. They stop laying, so they'll lay a clutch eggs. And once they have that clutch legs, they don't lay eggs anymore because
Yeah.
it's 21 days to hatch a chicken. So they're literally just sitting on.
Yeah,
this.
you give up your egg production
So-
to have a broody hen.
You don't want everything broody.
I really like to keep a mixed flock and then have a few hens that are just really broody. When I get a hen, and that probably comes down a little bit to personality too. Like
Yeah.
there are breeds that are definitely more prone to it, but you'll have, like we have our hens and their names, any broody mom that we have, we call her Mama, and like she's the one who raises the chicks.
Yeah.
Because we have ones that just are always broody, and so we just say, okay.
And like I said,
You
we
can do
can we can generalize. I can tell you typically this breed does this, but it's still personality.
Personality,
you
for
know.
sure.
You're
Absolutely.
gonna know who's broody, who's sitting on the nest.
I wonder if those like really classic, I mean, I've found like for sustainability, those classic kind of American breeds like the Rhode Island Red and the Delaware and the Rocks and all of that, they kind of just are your typical homestead breeds because they are, I mean, their heritage.
Well, that's what they were. I mean,
they were made for the farm.
that's everyone. That's what you had. You just happened to have these these New Hampshire Reds on your farm, and they just that wasn't that long ago. It was like 1800s.
Exactly. And so like for sustainability, when you're looking at those breeds, you've got a heavy breed. They're going to lay that brown egg, which we've associated those brown eggs with like healthy or farm, but really people just kept those breeds because they were heavy, and if you had extra roosters, they went into the frying pan.
There is no nutritional difference between brown and
Right.
red eggs. There is nutritional difference in foraging birds, versus what they eat is more important than
The color of the egg.
color. There's no difference in color.
Those breeds, those heavier breeds, if you have, for sustainability's sake, you have broody hens that are hatching out clutches of eggs, you're going to end up with half roosters. And so the heavier breeds give you an option of what to do with those roosters on a homestead. And so that's kind of where you get that sustainability in, is going to be those heavier breeds.
My grandmother, everyone's, grandparents who grew up on a farm, you got straight one white leghorns. And then the females laid and the roosters were stew. Or
exactly.
Canned.
Okay, last question. If you had to pick, and people do this to me about like tomatoes and chickens and everything.
Yeah.
If I wrote down originally if you had to pick one, I was like, no, it's not. And then I wrote 3, and I was like, I started to think of my list of 3, and I was like, I really need 5. So if you had to pick 5 birds for your own personal flock, you could only have 5 types of chickens, breeds of chickens. What would your 5 be?
Count them out. I would go with I like the Americanas. So we have a mixed color flock. We don't separate by color. But the eggs are blue.
Yeah.
And they're fantastic eggs. They're a large egg. I'm super happy to put those in the egg carton.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I like. I love giving those eggs away, and they're a cool blue egg. I like a red star. It's our red sex link. It's a really dark brown egg. When you get the catalog, because you're gonna get one, you got to find that page with the eggs on it.
Cut it open.
It's number 2. Like,
Really?
that's the red star.
That's interesting.
Obviously the Marans we have another Maran after that, so there's 2 dark ones, but they're another nice, very even egg. They're really pretty brown. Mm-hmm. Very, very pretty brown.
They're pretty big too. Like big eggs.
And they lay all the time.
Yeah.
So I like my favorite chickens are Cochins. Mm-hmm. And so I like having Cochins. They are really majestic. They're really majestic. I like you said, you see that whole flock of something, and if you see a whole flock of buff Cochins, like, you're just like, what is that? Like, it's like a carpet of gold. So, buff Cochins, or just Cochins in general, you can't go wrong with the Cochin. I like Speckled Sussex.
Yeah.
Speckled Sussex are very, very pretty. The eggs they're a medium egg, and they're a little bit lighter brown, so they're not as dark, but that offsets your other colors.
Yeah. Having a mix is awesome.
And so they're pretty early layers, and like, they kind of fit all of those homesteading things. They're great foragers. They tend to go broody. Like,
you said they lay quite early.
They lay pretty early. Yeah, they're like, everything is user experience, but 17, 18 weeks.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They're really cool. So we always have those at home. Like, we always have Speckled Sussex.
They're really beautiful.
More than those of anything else currently.
They're kind of confettied.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just really pretty feathers.
Partridge Rocks, but not Partridge Rocks hens. I like the roosters. It's just a little bit different feather pattern or color pattern, but I love how they look. They're iridescent, and like, it's red brown, and it's like mahogany color, So those are one of my favorites too. They're not typically aggressive, but they are dominant. They have space, and this is their space, so they're good protectors. I really like them for that.
So the Bielefelder's gonna make your
Well, that's what
I'm wondering. I mean, you put a lot of work into those chickens.
I know. I didn't want to like skewer it, because that's like my right now favorite, and I don't even have any at home. I actually have one hen. I mean, they are super cool. Very, very beautiful. Cool breeds. They're a really heavy breed.
See, they couldn't be on my top 5 list because I'm just getting them the first time this year, so I can't like vouch for them.
I know. Well, I raised every one that we had here. That's like, I started with eggs at home, so I hatched the eggs in the 40 egg incubator on my counter. I raised the chicks in my basement. I put them out in my coop, and so that was my flock of Bielefelders, and I raised that up. And then when they were producing eggs, I could get them on our cycle for the barns that we use here, and so I'd bring the eggs to work, and then that's what we started our flocks with. So I mean, like, all of we have here are from my backyard. Like,
that's so cool.
So I'm very attached to them.
Yeah.
They're super cool. They're very, very cool birds. They're very gentle giants. I mean, those roosters are massive.
Yeah.
They're just there, like big teddy bears. Like, they're just kind of like, hey,
So my 5, I actually like thought about this extensively this morning. So I'm gonna go with Marans for my number 1. I'm actually getting the white Marans this year.
Yeah.
I've done the black copper in the past. I've done blue Marans, whites. I've done the splash. I've had like a little bit of all of them. I've never had white Marans, and so I'm really looking forward to those.
Super. They're very stately. Like, they have a
very upright,
proud presence. And they're like. Stately is an understatement. They're just very regal.
And of course, Marans are known because they do the dark brown egg, the chocolate egg. But if you are into doing any hatching or any genetics at home, you can cross them with any blue egg layer, and you're going to get the green eggs, and you cross them back, and you get into the whole recessive and dominant gene thing, and like breed through the generations for darker and darker green eggs. If you're going to have an olive egger program, you're going to have Marans for the most part. And I know people have done it with other breeds, but they're kind of like the best one, in my opinion, to do it with.
The black copper Marans and the white Marans are going to lay this really chocolate egg.
Yeah.
There's a scale. When you talk about Marans, there's a
Right.
They put off a graph and that says your eggs need to fall like here.
Right.
And I think ours are like an 8.
Yeah.
Out of 10. Like,
Yeah, I've seen pictures of them, and I was like, wow, okay, this is really... Because if you just buy them from... I know that I used to do egg color breeding, and, like, you could get them. I'd get them off somebody who was selling them locally or whatever, and they might be, like, a 6 on the scale. They might not be that dark, and they're still great birds, and they're still great eggs. But if you're really going for that dark... Like, I'm actually getting several this year, and I'm going to try to do some selective egg saving and work on it for a few generations to take the best of the best. So much fun.
One of my favorite times of the year is when we do our breed selection, and not even before. Like, I just do the egg selection for the breeds, and it's like, and you realize you're only, like, we save about a quarter of our eggs. So most of the eggs we're not really that picky about. The blue eggs and the really dark eggs, like, you're only saving this many eggs out of a flat.
Yeah.
But it's just really fun.
Yeah, because you're wanting the best genetics.
So yeah, that's start one, and then from there, that's when you get into chicks, and then you get into adult birds, and that's its own selection. So
that leads me to number 2. We're talking about blue eggs. This is hard for me, so I'm going to say 2 and 3 and talk about these at the same time. So these are the blue egg layers. I love a colorful egg basket. This is like something that's very important to me. I love color, I love colorful things. And so Americanas are, for me, one of like the must-have chickens because they lay that beautiful blue egg. Yeah. Interesting fact, like Marans, their egg is dark brown, but it's actually a coating on the outside. And we joke around because sometimes you'll get one that's like really like weirdly speckled or faded or something, and it's like, oh, somebody's sprayer's broken because it's like it's just a coating on the outside. But you crack it open, the inside of the shell, it's just like a regular brown egg. Or is it white?
It's white.
Okay, yeah. So it's like just a regular egg inside. The blue eggs, however, that is like a gene that this chicken carries, and the shell is blue throughout. Yeah. So the inside of the shell is also blue. So if you're getting into olive eggers or green egg layers, you're crossing those genetics, and green eggs on the inside are also blue. They're green on the outside, blue on the inside.
Yeah. And any dark egg, brown egg layer. So the darker egg you get is the slower it passes through the oviduct, so it's the more color gets put onto the egg, but it also means you're getting fewer eggs.
Right.
Like, so the darker the color, it's because it's the slower process of laying that egg.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there's a trade-off, but
that is really cool. It's totally worth it though. When you get that like one, I've literally had eggs before that like I just had it and I was just like, oh man, it's just so good. It's so pretty.
You just need one of those in the in your egg carton.
Yeah, they really make everything else pop. So with the Americanas, I love the Americanas because they're hardy. They lay really well.
They do. They lay really, really well. So.
And they are like, here you can get like a mixed color, and then you're going to get different ones. They come in different colors.
They come, yeah.
So if you like that mixed flock out in the yard, you can have variation. We like to name our birds, and so we like to be able to tell them apart. Yeah. And having that variation, but within the same breed. So you can have a handful of blue egg layers with Americanas and be different looking birds, producing the same egg. With that said,
they got beards.
Yeah, the beards are so cute too. I also really like crusted cream leg bars.
Yeah.
They're really beautiful, also a blue egg layer. So if you're doing any sort of breeding project for colors, they can come in. Okay, so that's 2 and 3 for me. So I've got 2 more left. Oh, it's so hard. Let's see. Cochin's probably gonna make the list for me. They're
cool. I don't know.
They're just beautiful, and they're huge. They're massive chickens. I mean, the roosters, I don't want to exaggerate. I mean, that's about right, isn't it? Like, I mean, they're big, and I mean, seriously, like when I'm holding one of a Cochin rooster, I mean, it's like this massive thing, and they're typically. I've never had a mean Cochin rooster. Of course, you got personality. Either, so. I've never had a mean Cochin rooster. They're slow, and so like one of the issues that I've had in the past is if you have roosters, a lot of times they'll get a favorite hen and they'll hurt her because they just won't leave her alone. Yeah. And so you'll end up with hens having like losing feathers and stuff. I've never had a Cochin rooster. Well, truly, the thing was if the hens wanted to get away from them, you couldn't catch her because they're so big, they're slow. Yeah. But I've just, anytime that my roosters have been Cochins, because usually I only keep a few, it's my hens just seem to do better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They're more gentle with the hens. Absolutely, so I really like Cochins. And then, of course, the hens are really good moms. They're broody. And then I think lastly for me is going to be Orpingtons. Across the board, like any Orpington, but specifically the lavenders.
Oh yeah, they're gorgeous.
They're gorgeous. So yeah, that's my top 5.
Okay.
I think that's gonna be it for
You
me.
did it. You stuck to 5.
Yeah, I've got a few in my back here, like in the sideways, being like, "What about me?" But I'll just not do that. So, is there anything else that my viewers should know?
Keeping chickens. There's 2 things to keeping chickens. It's easy.
Yeah, it really is.
It's really not that tough. And having the right setup is really important. It makes chores a lot easier. I have a pretty simple coop. They have outside space. But they have their own fenced-in yard, so I have less predator problems there. The other thing is that they are a gateway animal.
Ain't that the truth?
You will start, and that's like I tell people, like, I know where you're coming from because I did it. Like, I didn't know about chickens, like, and to move here. Now we got chickens, and then everything else, like, I want a pig, like,
yeah,
I want a donkey, like, I'd like to get, all of this stuff. Like, we live in town, like, and it's like we want a farm, like, and that's it. So that's the life we're living. So you get chickens and they will lead you to something else.
They were my gateway. I was obsessed with having chickens. I actually, for like years, like long before YouTube, before we had a farm, I would get like a Murray McMurray catalog, and I would memorize like the information. I would read it so much that like right now, whenever I'm saying things that I'll like pop off chicken facts, it's from my years of like memorizing Murray McMurray's catalog. That's what.
So you're gonna get chickens, and then you're gonna go, oh, I want a duck. Those are ducks from my backyard.
And then you're gonna be like, guineas? Totally, why not?
Well, that's what, like, one of we have great, really good phone help. She goes, "Okay, I'm thinking about getting some. We're going to go order some turkeys and some guineas and stuff. If you want to split," I was like, "Oh, I haven't done turkeys for a while."
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's totally a gateway. They really are simple though. For a lot of people that have been like on the edge for a long time, like really wanting chickens, I'm like, I know it feels like a really big undertaking to start something new, but like really, if you want a farm, even, and I know like for the most part, municipalities and stuff will allow it. A lot of times they won't allow roosters. You don't have to have a rooster to get eggs. Like that's a common misconception. You can just keep hens, which is a lot quieter.
Hens are easy.
Keeping a handful of chickens, if you got a nice secure place for them to go up at night.
Yep, that's basically, they want to roost at night. They need, they don't need a ton of space. Even, coop, we say 2 square foot per bird. Like,
they don't need, the more room they have to free range and the rich diet, the better your eggs are going to be.
Yep.
But yeah, they really are awesome, and there's so much enjoyment in keeping them. I can sit and watch my chickens. We have our house set up where like I sit down in the morning at my window where I can see my chicken coop, because just to see them scratching around and stuff is so entertaining.
They call that chicken TV.
Yeah, it is. That's my big window is my chicken TV.
Yeah.
And
there are chickens on rooftops in New York City. There are chickens in Manhattan. There are chickens in Las Vegas. There are chickens
all
everywhere.
over the place.
Dallas, Houston. You can have chickens in any of the major cities.
Yeah.
It's actually the smaller cities that have more rules.
That's so crazy.
So
we're gonna have to get some lobbying.
If you have a rooftop in New York, you can get chickens.
That's so cool. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Tom, so much for sharing your knowledge with my viewers. And I'll put links down below to the stuff we talked about today, to the catalog, to the website, and to that trip.
Yeah.
Because that'll be really cool.
Europe.
All right.
England.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. We bless you. Until next time.